ABC canceled the hit sitcom Roseanne today after a series of bizarre tweets from the show's star early this morning. They included a racist remark about Valerie Jarrett, top advisor to former President Obama. Roseanne Barr apologized profusely after she was severely criticized, but that wasn't enough to save her show. Jarrett responded on MSNBC tonight.
I think we have to turn it into a teaching moment. I'm fine. I'm worried about all the people out there who don't have a circle of friends and followers who come right to their defense. The person who's walking down a street minding their own business and they see somebody cling to their purse or want to cross the street.
For reaction, we're joined by Alveda King, former member of the Georgia House of Representatives and the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King, and Howie Kurtz, the host of Media Buzz here on Fox News. I want to start with you, Alveda, here, because this was a breakneck speed cancellation of the most popular network television show of the season. A huge smash hit. She apologized, but it was the comments in the eyes of a lot of people were pretty inexcusable, to say the least.
Well, you know, this actually, Laura, is a teachable moment. I'm 67 years old, and I do use social media, but I try to stop and maybe pray or think or consider what I'm about to tweet or put on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or any of those, because people will hear that or see that or read that. And as you say, Roseanne's remarks moved like lightning, and they just moved everywhere. And then ABC responded, and I believe appropriately, in saying, hey, we just have to chop this show. We have to stop this. There has to be a message that this is not what we're about. So I believe that it is a teachable moment, unfortunately, for Roseanne herself. You know, because I guess there are a lot of people.
I have a question about this, though, and Howard, there seems to be no possibility of redemption in certain cases. I mean, you have redemption for Joy Behar. Let's not remind everyone what she said not so long ago.
Yeah.
It's one thing to talk to Jesus. It's another thing when Jesus talks to you.
Exactly. Okay, well, that's different.
That's different. That's called mental illness, if I'm not correct.
And then Andrea Mitchell posed this very odd question today to Joy Reid. Let's watch.
What do you have to do on social media to get fired from a top-rated show on an American broadcast network?
It's a little, given Joy Reid's past comments about homosexuals and so forth. It was kind of an ironic question there.
Right. I mean, a lot of commentators and comedians have survived these offensive comments when they have apologized. Difference here, I think, is that Roseanne Barr touched the third rail of race, and it's very hard to come back from that. I mean, this was a spectacular self-immolation by Roseanne, who woke up this morning with the most popular show within nanoseconds, it seemed, ABC pulling the plug, which is going to cost ABC a lot of money, by the way. And Roseanne should have been on top of the world. Instead, she's continued to spew anger on Twitter.
Alveda, you see the double standard, however. Christians are mocked and ridiculed. Entire classes of people ridiculed. Yet someone issues an apology, maybe makes a phone call, and career preserved.
In America right now, the issue of race has reached fever pitch, boiling point. We've not gotten the message yet from my uncle, for example, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., we must learn to live together as brothers, and I'll add as sisters, or perish together as fools. We're not understanding that we are one race, one human race. And so we are still at these race wars and battling. And so it's just an absolute terrible thing to take a racial slur and kind of throw it out there like that, and I understand that. However, I believe that we all as human beings, red-blooded human beings, our skin color really doesn't define us. It's our character that does. We're not colorblind. We could see ethnicity, and we should. Because if we ignore or say we can't see skin color, then we can't see the oppression and the wrongdoing that happens, even down to the little babies in the womb, all the way to old people. Right. And so fighting over skin color really is a problem, but that's where we are right now. And that's why I say it's a teachable moment. The racism really does have to go, and we have to begin to regard and respect each other as human beings.
Well, here. Howie, did ABC not know, though, what they were getting with Roseanne? I mean, Ben Sherwood's comment, the New York Times, he said you can't control Roseanne. Let's get Howie in on this. Many of who have tried have failed. She's the one and only. I mean,
ABC knew exactly what it was getting with Roseanne. She has been spreading conspiracy theories from about 9/11 to Nazis for many years. There was a gamble here that maybe she would zip her lip, and she did create a funny show, a pro-Trump show that touched a lot of people in the country. But ABC cannot claim to be blindsided. And there's one more point here, and that is, I was just waiting. I was counting down. CNN's Don Lemon. Okay, Roseanne and President Trump are trafficking.
Oh, yeah, they're
racism.
putting it all together.
MSNBC bringing it in. Even Valerie Jarrett was taking the high road, and she was sort of blindsided here, but she took a swipe at the president. Although he liked Roseanne, and he called Roseanne after the successful review, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. The mainstream media have to turn every negative controversy into a Trump story.
Yeah, Alveda, what do you think of tying this? Yeah, hold on, Alveda. What do you think about tying this to Donald Trump, which is what people are doing in tweets? You know, the guy from Scandal, actor Joshua Malina, said ABC is greater than GOP. Others tweeting similar things, that Donald Trump created this atmosphere for someone like a Roseanne to tweet that, thinking she probably could get away with it.
Well, I believe Roseanne, perhaps, as I say, teachable moment, just thought she could say or do whatever she thought at any time.
But did Donald Trump create the atmosphere, Alveda? That's what the left is saying.
No, he did not. No, he did not. I voted for Donald Trump. I'm not a racist. There are many of us who support the president today, and we're not racist. So to tie this one particular act from one particular person and say that it's Donald Trump's President Donald Trump's fault, that's just not true. And I think that we should not do that.
Howie, will someone else pick up the show?
I think it's very hard to come back from this kind of radioactive controversy.
So no one will pick up this.
I don't think
this
any
most
network.
popular show of the year. No one will pick it up. Any of the cast of characters, they're all out of jobs, right?
Well, some of the people were saying they were leaving, but yeah, that's the sad thing here is that with this act, with this self-destructive act, all the writers and tape editors and people who will not be so easy for them to find jobs, they all
it's a shame.
They all get screwed too.
Yeah, it's a shame because I only saw like 1 minute of it, but I mean, people really like the show. But it's a television show. Life will go on. Thank you so much, both of you.